That right there. Hearing that tomorrow at the Coliseum, the USC Trojans finally this big showdown with Missouri State, the one we've all been waiting for. And to break it down right now from USCFootball.com is Ryan Abraham. Ryan, what's going on, man?
Hey, Nate's ready for some football. Can't wait. You get us fired up, and we got college football again in the Coliseum. It'll be great.
All right, so Ryan, what do you know about Missouri State? The number's huge. USC favored by 35.5. Is there any reason to believe that Missouri State could rise up in a game like this? I know nothing about the Bears. What do you know?
Yeah, so this is actually going to be their first ever game as an FBS program, so that's kind of interesting. USC is the only program that's never played an FCS school. Missouri State was last year. They were in the Missouri Valley, and now they're in the Conference USA. So this will be their first game as an FBS program. So that'll be kind of interesting. And Bobby Petrino was the head coach there a few years back. Ryan Beard, the head coach now, he married Bobby Petrino's daughter. So there's a lot of family kind of going on at Missouri State, but
right.
I think they're going to come in with nothing to lose, but it's just one of those things where USC has to kind of take care of business. There's different starters at different spots. They release the two deep and just kind of figure out what you have going into the meat of the schedule later on.
So, Ryan, we've talked about this over the last couple of years. I've been really bummed out about Lincoln Riley, really upset that we're not sort of on the NIL train. That has all changed. USC is now building a huge NIL program, number one recruiting class for next year, at least at this moment, the 2026 class. I'm all in on Lincoln Riley. Do other people, do USC fans now feel that same way?
No, I mean, I think it's kind of mixed. I think it helps that they came together. Lincoln Riley met up with Jen Cohen. They hired Chad Bowden to be the general manager, and I think they made their program a lot more modern. They were sort of doing things the old way, and I think now having a general manager is really important. You need your head coach, especially because he's calling, he's your play caller. He can't be managing contracts and things like that. And you need the support of Jen Cohen, the athletic director, in that department. I think they've all come together, and you're seeing it now. Like they fixed a lot of problems last offseason, fixing the defensive staff. They were able to keep Danton Lynn when Penn State made a run at him and end up hiring Jim Knowles from Ohio State. So that was pretty impressive that USC could keep him. And then just knowing going into this that, hey, we have to recruit Southern California a lot harder, and they have. And now that's why you're seeing the number one recruiting class. So they fixed a lot of stuff, I think, around the program. Now all that's left is you got to win on Saturdays.
Ryan Abraham from USCFootball.com is with us. Ryan, how closely do you follow the message boards on your website?
Just full disclosure, this is going to be my 30th season running USCFootball.com, which is crazy. And, yes, we have to follow it very closely. There's a lot of passionate fans.
Right. Okay. So I'm guessing you have seen this, but we talked about it earlier in the show. Somebody who is a USC fan posted something, and the title of the post is Coach Ryan's Gut. And he starts with, I'm excited to have Rob Ryan on staff. He's going to bring toughness. I'm all in on our new defensive coach. However, I'm struggling with how Ryan is sporting this huge gut. It looks unhealthy and comes off as a bad example of self-conditioning. Do you think that this is something or nothing, what this fan is pointing out? Because Mason and I have no problem with a coach being overweight. He's not playing, he's coaching. But did this post spark discussion on the website? First of all, were you aware of this post?
Yeah, I saw little pieces of it, yeah. But
okay.
I don't think it's that big of a deal as far as they've been waiting months and months for football. And I've seen so many threads pop up complaining about things like Lincoln Riley has 5 starting quarterbacks for the NFL opening day. And I have people complaining to me that Spencer Rattler doesn't count, even though all these things. They're just looking for something to argue about before you get to that first game. And if you heard anything from Rob Ryan, I mean, he's someone that you would want to run through a wall for. He's just a great speaker. I think he's motivated that room. He continued what Matt Entz did last year, and Matt Entz moved on, and he's the head coach at Fresno State now. And I think they made a great hire with Rob Ryan. So, yeah, I would be more worried about his coaching than his diet or anything.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, we're with you on that.
So Jaden Maiava starts the year as the starter this year. He came on late last year, went 3-1 down the stretch. My evaluation of him was he took too many risks and ended up throwing 6 picks last year. what is your take on Jaden Maiava and what the expectations are?
Yeah, I think there's a high upside, which you like. And I think if you watch the Las Vegas Bowl with Texas A&M, I mean, there was 3.5 quarters where it didn't look like he was very good, and then put it together in the last 10 minutes of that game and was able to win. So I think going into this one, knowing that you're an overmatched opponent, I think you want to see some good plays, but you just want to limit the big negative plays. I mean, the 2 pick sixes against Notre Dame, everyone's going to remember. I think that was the whole offseason. If Lincoln Riley wanted to go another direction with bringing in a transfer quarterback or having like a Hassan Longstreet be the starter as a true freshman,
right,
he didn't go that way. I think he showed a lot of confidence that he can get Jaden Maiava to basically raise the floor more. The ceiling is good. I don't think you needed to mess with the ceiling, but just raise that floor so you don't have those big negative plays. That's probably the number one thing I'm going to watch for, Mace, just seeing if he can just not make some big mistakes against an overmatched opponent like Missouri State.
Yeah. You can give me more than one name if you want here, Ryan, but who's the best player on USC's football team this year? Every year they seem like they have NFL caliber picks. Is there one or two guys that are clearly the best players on this year's Trojans?
Yeah, I think a couple on defense. If you look at Eric Gentry, who's just a freak at 6'6", makes a lot of plays. I mean, he was leading the team in tackles for loss and only played like the first 5 games before he got hurt. And Kamari Ramsey, who transferred over from UCLA, sorry, John, but he's been a great leader. I think they stepped up and paid him in the offseason to keep him around and has just been like an extra coach on the field. And I like Mekhi Lemon a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had 5 different receivers. You weren't sure which was going to be number one. Now you go in with Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon, but Lemon does a lot on the special teams side as well. I think he's probably your best player on the offensive side.
Last year we had Woody Marks. This year we have a new running back. What do you think of this guy?
Yeah, Wayman Jordan comes in. He won the J.C. Heisman basically last year. And if you want to argue about how good or bad Lincoln Riley is, one thing he's done amazingly well is bring in a transfer running back each and every year.
Travis Dye, Woody Marks, yeah.
Yeah, like Woody Marks was the MVP of the team last year.
Yep.
And I think everything we've heard about Jordan coming in here is just so positive, and they just love him. So I think USC fans embraced Woody Marks last year and his Mississippi accent. I think you're gonna like Wayman Jordan as well, who's going to have a chip on his shoulder coming up from the JC level. Now you're going to come up and try to play with the big boys, and everything we've heard about him is he's going to be really special.
Last thing for me, Ryan, Lincoln Riley, 7-6 doesn't cut it, obviously, but he has so much money coming. You couldn't even really consider a coaching change. But what about this year? How many games do the Trojans need to win for Lincoln Riley to get the critics off his back?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most popular topics on our message boards over at USCfootball.com. But I think par is probably like an 8-4 season, a 2-game improvement. But I think you want to be like at a 9-3. It's a manageable schedule. There's a couple tough road games. You should start 4-0, and then if you can go on the road to Champaign and beat a ranked Illinois team, I think there's some upside there. You got to beat Michigan at home. Iowa looks like they could be pretty good. Nebraska's on the road, and of course Notre Dame and Oregon are road games. But I feel like it can be manageable. And if you're 9-3, I don't think anyone's complaining. 8-4 might be kind of questionable, and then if it's less than that, I think fans are not going to be really happy.
I'm not going to be either. Not at all. Not at all. How many wins do you think he needs to hold next year's recruiting class together?
That comes up a lot. I think this is more of it's not an out of state class. It's really local. And I think they've done a good job locking a lot of these guys up. And especially with that July 1st, when the House settlement kicked in, they kind of signed these guys early, and then you get them paid before this new sort of revenue share era started. So I think, unless it's some kind of disaster, if they're, I think they'll be able to keep the class together. It's really built with local guys, and I think that's important. Where before, a lot of their high-profile guys were from out of state, and then if the team didn't do well, they'd decommit late. But from the guys that we've talked to, it seems like they're going to stick together, and we'll see if they can hold on number one. But it's a much better recruiting class than we've seen the last few years, and getting the great local programs like Mater Dei and St. John Bosco, and getting those guys to stay home as opposed to going like Oregon or Ohio State or something. I think it's a big deal, and that's been the emphasis, I think, since Chad Bowden came over from Notre Dame.
Okay, last thing for you: USC and Notre Dame negotiating on an extension for that historic series. What are the odds that that gets done? I think Notre Dame wants a longer agreement. USC wants a shorter agreement. USC wants the game earlier in the year. Where do the negotiations stand?
Yeah, I think they're still working on it. I think both sides know, and Notre Dame needs the game more, I think, than USC, but the fans would not be happy if that game went away. But it does make a lot more sense, at least for USC, to play it earlier in the season because now you've got this crazy Big Ten travel schedule, and adding another Chicago trip or South Bend trip, it's just a lot. I'm just doing the travel myself last year, going to all the road games. I mean, there's a lot of time zones, and USC struggled on the road, when they left California. So I feel it's one of those things where they'll get it done, but there's just going to be kind of negotiations.
Will the game move to early in the year?
I think it will. I think they're going to end up doing that.
Yeah.
Because Notre Dame needs it too. I mean, they're going to stay independent, and they need these kind of high-profile games. USC's got all these tough games now if you're playing Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State. But no one wants to see it go away. I think most people don't. So I think it'll happen, but just probably early in the season is my guess.
All right. Hey, Ryan, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks,
I'll see you at the Coliseum tomorrow, man.
Sounds good. Fired up for football. Love it, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ryan Abraham, USCfootball.com.